Welcome to Rauta. This video is done in commercial collaboration with our sponsor, Steelfest. Hello and welcome to Rauta's Black Metal Review. This time it's a rather interesting case because this one is a one-man project and now I have two different releases here back to back going like a dual review. Now I have the physical products at home, so unfortunately I'm not able to include the unboxing one, so let's just go with the music here with this curious case. Curious partially because this one is Black Metal Project one-man band from Poland, but the name is quite unusual if you think about it. I mean, it's coming from a computer, or let's call it video game, Gothic 2, which is not that far-fetched if you really think about it. I mean, everything since Tolkien has been more or less coming to the same direction, but still something rather unusual, taking a name from a computer game rather than a classic book. Now, that being said, this one has only one member indeed, and he is here by LDB, originally from Poland, nowadays living, as far as I know, in different country. And with this solo project, there are two releases: In the Spem at Metum, which is EP from 2018, technically speaking, indeed like MCD, even though it's listed as single on streaming services, at least on Spotify. And then you have this full album, Temporal, Capsule, from 2022. Now, obviously, I got approached by the artist because of the full album last year, and this has been waiting for its cue or turn here. But I was also given this EP with the review, so there's something to compare the original one. And of course, I want to talk about both of these because why not? Because I was given them. Let's start with the first release EP, which is about 22 minutes, featuring 3 tracks, maybe too much length than necessary, but definitely worth talking about. This is showcasing some kind of a modern take of Polish black metal in independent ways. Now, obviously, because this is a one-man project, you're gonna hear some of the elements which are kind of a typical to bedroom black metal ones. I mean, whether we're talking about the production or kind of a one-man approach to metal music, you will feel that, okay, this is a little bit like demo in the making. And nowadays there's even saying today's demos are the ones that are digitally released and self-financed by an artist. So maybe the classic take on demos have pretty much died, and this is kind of equivalent to that, because really what's the difference when you go for self-financed and digital release and kind of skip the label parts and just put your music right there and hope that people will like it. Now, In the Spem at Metum is an interesting in the sense that it's kind of like trying to take Polish black metal into modern levels. There are parts where the riffs are actually quite good, and it's somewhat more on the grimness rather than just full-blown rawness or very, how to say, very nicely produced modern all the way through kind of a black metal experience. But this is more like work in progress, and as such it's kind of a typical black metal release in a demo phase, that is, that you're having the elements and you have the kind of a direction, you have the vision, but you're not right there because of the production, because of the songwriting, and all these various elements are more like definitely work in progress. I don't know how to describe it fully so that you would understand, but if you give this one a listen, you will figure out like, okay, this is something that really could have taken the benefit of, honing it, polishing the wordplay, nice, to a different level. Maybe with more artists in question, or maybe just given extra love, like given those individual riffs or just compositions. Like, first of all, when you do a 9-minute track, is it really that good? I mean, give a listen to, say, Metallica tracks, nowadays especially, and try to understand why those 8-minute tracks don't really work that well. So whenever you go for the so-called epic length with the tracks, you're kind of a bound to get a little bit boring or just get lost in the woods. Like, I mean, human brain is kind of a more easy to comprehend, rather shorter tracks. I mean, unless you really want to go for an Cardish approach, probably a 9-minute track is not that much of a good idea. And that's exactly what's happening with Embarla Firgasto as well, because those tracks are not exactly able to maintain the weight of the given length to just, make it work right. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely something that could have and should have uh, given some more thinking and love and maybe honing it to the next level. But where things go a little bit different and, in my opinion, worse is with the first full album, once again, independent uh, release, and maybe for a reason, because this time it's not just taking these song lengths to quite a different level. I mean, there's always almost more than 10 minutes, one track, and some other lengthier ones. But the thing here is, now it's more like including a little bit death metal into play. One could even say this is like the one-man equivalent to whatever Behemoth is doing, as a full band. And obviously the production is not right there, not so much as the, how to say, musicianship. And that's one of the main concerns for me with this full album. It's almost like trying to include too much, too lengthy, and just not having the skill or production for, to just like make it work. And as such, I am kind of bound to say that the EP is a little bit better, mainly because it's focused on more on the black metal side and not just going like greedy with all the parts, all the ideas here. So this is definitely going to a next level, but not in a good ways. And I'm kind of definitely bound to say, yeah, the first release was better. Now I'm not fan of those. The people who keep saying like first demo is the best and then the band was ruined. Really, much like Mikko Aspa once upon a time said, like, yeah, it's relatively easy to make a decent demo, but your skill is definitely more like weighted when you're doing the first album. Like, can you really do it? Because it's one thing to just do, say, 20 minutes of music and put all the best efforts right there and make it work, rather than taking to a 45 minute and then just like, is this good enough for the length and all? And this time I feel like, yeah, this is not happening, mainly because the band, or one man in this case, decided to take it to a next level, but not necessarily in a good way. So I would say Embarla Firgasto is still in very much in a demo phase. And like being said, digital, self-financed, or independent releases are exactly that, demos, just wearing the clothes of a full album. And I think that's part of the problem nowadays. Not just with Embarla here, of course, but a lot of bands, they kind of skip the demo phase and head straight into recording an EP or full album. A lot of bands that were doing in the 90s and honing their style, just live and recording multiple demos before going album, they were really ready for an album. Nowadays bands just skip the phase. Don't test those songs live, and don't do it, with demos and just like figuring out what works and what not. But instead, go straight away for a full album, which results then again the full album being more like first or second demo. And that's part of the problem with Embarla. It's not bad, but it's very, very lukewarm, very mediocre releases overall. And as such, I would say go back to rehearsal room, get some producers, give you an honest opinion of what works and what doesn't, because 10-minute tracks rarely work unless you're really masterful in writing good songs and all. So this is something that I would say only for brave and dedicated listeners of extreme metal, those who want something ready and already with good songs, probably are still going to have to wait for that with Embarla Fergasto. Take it as you will. You will find links provided in the description box, and I hope you like it. Bye bye.